welcome to Guide for the Kill. Now, I only got 2 cameras this week. One of them is not wanting to play nicely at the moment with Open Broadcaster. Not sure what's going on, but at any rate, for this Guide for the Kill, we can do it with 2 cameras because we're going to be discussing boom and zoom. Now, this is a tactic that really, in order for you to pull off, you need to have 3 very distinct advantages over your opponent. 1, you need to be in a substantially faster spaceship. That's number 1. You need to be faster. Now, in aerial combat, when you do a boom and zoom, you could use altitude to make up for maybe a little bit of space or a little bit of speed. However, in a space combat game, you have to be faster, and you can't just be a little faster. You need to be substantially faster in order to gain separation in case your attack is not successful. 2, you need to be heavily armed. You need to have the ability to knock down their shields and deliver a deadly blow and strike in one single pass. Lastly, it helps if you have a little bit heavier ship with a little bit heavier armor and shields, because if you do not pull off the attack successfully, chances are they are going to turn around and inflict pain on you of some kind. It's just a matter of if you got away far enough, they may only get a few pot shots off that your shields may absorb. But if you're flying a fragile aircraft or spacecraft and they're able to drop a bead on you, you're going to be dead if you fail to pull off the maneuver. Now, in Elite Dangerous Premium Beta, the preeminent boom and zoomer was the Cobra Mark III. This may change come Beta 1 with the introduction of the Viper. In Star Citizen and Arena Commander right now, version 0.8, the 300i is the closest that you get. However, I don't think the 300 series is a very good boom and zoomer because it's a very fragile spacecraft. In particular, if they're able to turn around and draw a bead on you, your engine's going to go as soon as they get your shields down. I believe that ultimately the boom and zoomer in Star Citizen right now is either going to be one of the Freelancer variants or the Avenger for the single seat version. But we'll have to wait and see how that all pans out. So, element of a boom and zoomer. Today, the boom and zoomer is going to be the larger Cobra Mark III, and the darker ship, the white ship, is going to be the victim in this case. Now, traditionally in air combat, what you're going to do is try to position yourself behind the target so that you can dive down, make your attack pass, and then go on through, usually roll out, and then zoom away. If all goes well, you've made the kill and you've turned and made the exit. If you don't kill them, you know, you've picked up such an airspeed advantage that if I can hold on to my props, you've separated out far enough that by the time he turns around, you're outside of his weapons range. Now, this still applies in space combat games, except for you can't trade altitude to gain that initial airspeed advantage. So, therefore, your ship has to be faster, either on boost or just regular engine speeds. Not only that, but you need to have plenty of differential in that speed. You know, it can't be that you're going 240 and your opponent can go 230. If that's the case, boom and zoom may not work for you. Typically, you'll also use this if you have a heavier armed ship versus a weaker armed ship, you know, say a Cobra Mark III versus an Eagle, in the case of Elite Dangerous. But what you're wanting to do is, when I get kind of an angle here, is you want to try to catch the target unawares. Basically, they're shooting at somebody else, they're giving you the broadside picture, you're going to come in probably starting at around 3,000, 2,500 to 3,000, which is about the most max range for energy weapons in Elite Dangerous. More importantly, if you can catch them when they have very little relative velocity, meaning they're almost sitting still, you know, they're trying to turret or something like that, this is an ideal tactic to use against somebody who's trying to turreting, are trying to turret, and either Star Citizen or Elite Dangerous. You come in, you hit them hard, and at this case, you know, if they start to turn towards you, of course the merge is going to increase. But if you're aiming kind of slightly behind them, even if they turn around, what you do is you hit uncoupled or turn off flight assist, depending on the game you're playing, and then you just try to keep your nose going as you fly on past in the same vector. The idea being is if you have, say, railguns to take down their shields in one shot, followed up by a couple of missiles or multi-cannons or something like that, you know, you've basically taken them on, you continue on, and they're dead in a single pass. Now, one of the keys to this tactic is once you've decided to engage, you've got to commit and you've got to stay committed to it. Meaning, if you attack, you don't get enough hits on target for whatever reason, they know you're there, and they're going to start to try to make a turnaround to engage you. You've got to keep barreling straight on through at max velocity and try to increase that extend, or what they call extending the fight, or get that separation distance to where you get out of their effective weapons range, which is about 3,000 meters, again, for energy weapons, around, I think, 3,500 to 4,000 for ballistic weapons and Elite Dangerous. And you've got to stay there, and it, you know, maybe you need to engage in a little bit of an evasive or something like that, but you've got to stick to it. You've got to extend. You've got to get out of their weapons range once they're aware of your attack. So if you, for whatever reason, fail to kill on that initial pass, that's essentially your once and done. The other time that you'll oftentimes hear people call this is a hit-and-run tactic, that you try to kill in one shot, and if you don't, you just keep on going, and there's nothing they can do about it. Now, if they disengage or get engaged by a different target, then of course you can turn around and essentially finish off the target. Or, if you're good enough with subsystem targeting, maybe you had some gimbaled weapons and stuff like that, you've taken out their drive or some of their other critical systems, you maybe can finish it off. Now again, with flight assist off or decouple mode in space combat games, what you can do is essentially slide past, keep your target or your nose pointed on the target. Generally this is enough, but remember, you're keeping your vector along the same line, so even if he turns around, he's got to then slide to meet you. And if you're substantially heavily have substantial differential and heavier armament, as well as shields and armor and things like that, even if he's turning around and firing at you as you're pulling away, if you can fly faster, you know, essentially backwards than he can forwards, he's not gaining on you. And what's happening here? You're just laying into him. If you've got 4 guns, he's got 3 guns, you've got 4 going on him, he's probably already weakened from that initial pass. You're going to kill him. This would happen in Battlestar Galactica Online a lot. You had a component called RCS slide, where that would be the tactic. They would come in, you would joust, hit RCS slide, try to keep nose on target, and then, you know, the popular Cylon tactic was get them to chase you. You know, they would just keep in the slide. And a lot of younger colonial pilots would just try to chase them, and then they would have long-range guns, you'd have medium or short-range guns, and, you know, they would hold that advantage. Doesn't hurt to have long-range weaponry as well. Now, how do you counter a boom and zoomer? Well, if he gets you, you know, the drop on you on that initial attack run, you definitely want to turn into the attack, merge, cut down, minimize the target angle as well as the amount of time he can get guns on you. And then you want to try to turn into a turning fight. If you can trick him into a turning fight and you're more maneuverable, you have a good chance of winning. If he's a more disciplined pilot and he continues to keep on going, if he's turned around, you want to disengage as quickly as you can and get the hell out of there. If he's, you know, turned around and trying to, you know, bait you into sliding, essentially. If he's sliding backwards and you are trying to give chase, don't fall for it unless, you know, he's in the Sidewinder and you're in the Cobra, you know, and you have the advantage in firepower and armor and things of that nature. and you know specifically that you do. The other option is if he's sliding away from you, turn 180 degrees, boost out, run. Because eventually what's going to happen, he's going to be like, okay, well, I'm still faster than he is, so I'm going to, I'm going to slow down and then start going back the way and then try to trace you down. What you want to do is in that separation, if you can gain enough distance, get out of mass lock, and you want to engage super cruise, hyperspace, whatever, and just get out of there. Exit the fight. The best way you can defeat a boom and zoomer is if they fail to kill you on that initial pass, don't give them a second. Get the hell out of there. So, that's boom and zoom in a nutshell. Remember, if you're going to attempt this tactic on others, make sure that you're engaging from a position of surprise. You have the element of surprise. It is an aggressive combat maneuver. It is where you have the advantage and you're willing to press it. 2, continue on. Do not get suckered into a turning fight, whatever you do, because chances are your spacecraft isn't geared for that. And make sure that you're flying the fastest ship in the galaxy, or the fastest ship in that battle, combined with a heavy armament. So, boom and zoom in a nutshell. Thank you very much, and we'll be discussing this more in different tactics and things like that as the weeks go on, and hopefully very soon we'll have a Star Citizen patch. I'm hoping that they get key binding in there. We can do custom key binds. They fixed a bunch of the other stuff, and I can start doing Star Citizen videos again as well. But anyway, that's this week's tactical lesson and guide for the kill. Again, like the video, share it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're almost to 100 subscribers. I have a feeling by the time this is released, we will be at 100 subscribers. We're about 50 around the 1st of July. We're now at 100. Hopefully in August, we can double that again to 200 subscribers, at the very least. Show your organizations, clans, guilds these videos. I don't really care. And I know that I'm kind of probably drawing a bead on myself in these various games when players come across me, but so be it. That's the price we pay. So thank you very much for watching these videos, and see you next week with another guide for the kill.